Hello everyone, a big show of Tragics coming up for you tonight. We take a look at Old Scotch's first finals win in a decade, a thrilling result of that over Monash Blues. We also do a full division premiership preview. We're going to take a look at all of the grand finals and pick a winner amongst them all. And finally, which Brendan do you want in your side coming into the final games of September? All that and more on the Tragics coming up right after this. It's beautiful weather outside. Welcome to another edition of the Tragics. It must be September as we welcome everyone to the panel. Finals action aplenty to talk about tonight. Nick Armistead, you're at finals action all over the weekend.
I was all over the weekend. William Buck Premier, very exciting stuff.
Brenton, man, you had a bit of a look at some finals. No doubt you're going to give us a full preview of everything that's going to happen in the divisions.
I will. This is my time to shine. This is where I put my neck on the line, and sometimes it gets chopped off.
Like I did last week. We'll kick things off with the Nutrients Direct Performance Player of the Week. Plenty of great performances in finals that have taken place on the weekend. Nick, who did you like the most?
As you said, there were, and Luther Jurek was my performance of the week over the weekend. In the second quarter, he kicked 3 goals. Old Trinity absolutely dominated with 9 goals to 1, but he really stood up and continued his breakout year. He's a genuine match winner with his athleticism causing a lot of headaches amongst those other mid-sizes with Weatherson and Polidorus, so he gets my performance player of the week.
Brenton.
I'll go down to Div 4 and Point Cook. Jordan Lampy, who snagged 7 on the weekend in their 61-point prelim final win over Mount Lillardale. Will Dawson did not play, and he stepped into his place magnificently.
Now, I did say this at the top of the show. Which Brendan would you like in your side? I couldn't split my performance player of the week between Brendan Yetzi for Old Trinity on the Saturday and Brendan Goss for Old Severians on the Sunday. Gossy, of course, finished with 6. He took an unbelievable hanger at the top of the goal square. He's had a day out, and Brendan Yetzi just got things going. As much as Luther Jurek was excellent, there was a cast of thousands for Old Trinity that really got them going in that second quarter. But some of Yetzi's kicking, and we'll roll straight into William Buck Premier Review. And have a look at firstly his clearance work out of the middle. It was interesting to see the second quarter that Old Trinity started with Kiriakopoulos, Yetzi and Howell all in the middle of the ground as their starting 3 midfielders. Whereas in the first quarter, Yetzi and Kiriakopoulos have been alternating off half forward and in the middle of the ground. So they went with their guns in the middle, and it really showed as they shot away from Blues in a brilliant second quarter of football.
Absolutely was. And like you said, when Yetzi is dominating like he can, it opens it up also for Kiriakopoulos, for how Jack Hunt had it on a string. So when he's going and carrying the team like that, they all stand up.
The other one that I thought was really important for Old Trinity was Anthony Scott on the wing. He played the sports cover main grandstand side wing, and he was matched up against Paddy Hayes from Uni Blues. And I think John Canner said in the call a couple of times he didn't like the matchup. Scotty had burn him for pace a couple of times. One of his kicks ended up, I think, to get things going for Old Trinity was a free kick down the field because Hayes was probably frustrated, couldn't get to Scott, and then Scott's delivery, number of intercept marks he took as well was excellent.
Yeah, and I think that's what frustrated a lot of the Blues too, was that genuine pace through the midfield, down the wing, and their delivery inside 50, which was absolutely first class.
It was a frustrating first quarter though, both sides playing a loose man behind the ball. It was a very difficult game to call. Lots of chopped off marks and intercept marks as they were trying to suss each other out. But once Trinity broke the shackles of the game open, it was their game to lose really. Blues came at them in the last quarter, so credit to Blues for doing that. But I think when you look at it, the cold hard facts are Blues hadn't conceded 9 goals, I think, to many teams at all this year, and they've conceded 9 goals alone in the second quarter. So that defensive game model that the Blues have got didn't pay dividends in September.
Well, an average of 57 points against in the home-away season, and they've basically got that in 1 quarter.
Well, that was the question. Could they take their game from University Oval to the wide expanse of the Sports Cover Arena? As you said, Anthony Scott, absolutely fantastic. His left shoe is something as well. Yetzi, dominant at the middle. And
it was another point that we made last week too, though, that Trinity can basically win a game in a quarter.
Yeah.
They've got that firepower and that capacity.
Yeah. Yep.
Ed Weatherson, we shouldn't forget about him as well. He's ended the day with 4 goals and got them going really in the first quarter with a couple of goals, a big mark to start proceedings, and then another goal only moments later. He's been important since he's come back into the side. Polidorus, not quite at full throttle just yet, but still he's an important body down in that forward line for them.
He is. They've got those 3 mid-sized pillars in Polidorus, Weatherson and Nicolosi, and when all those 3 are firing, it's really hard to match up on because they're all quick and they all lead in different directions. So it's going to be a handful for any defence.
The Blues midfield was a strange one. Rippon didn't have a game he'd want to remember too quickly. Even Jeremy Mugman couldn't get free, couldn't create the way he likes to create. Even Hinkley at times through the middle wasn't able to get on top of it. Cameron had a pretty solid game through the middle as well, but they'd be disappointed, the Blues midfield. Yeah,
Rippon started pretty slowly. I think he gave away 2 free kicks holding the ball pretty early on, but him and Yetzi were actually going at it one-on-one for a fair bit, so to see that again would have been pretty nice.
On to the Sunday and the first semi-final. It's often the way when we look at the first semi-final, we just see some absolute thrillers. This was no exception, with University Blacks leading most of the day before Old Zaz just did what they do best in the final quarter of a game at Sports Cover Arena in September. They
do, and they love Sports Cover Arena, don't they? And they're fourth quarter specialists. They're never out of a game. They were about 4 goals down 16 minutes into the third quarter, and they just absolutely mounted their comeback via some real controlled possession and defensive pressure in a sensational fourth term. They kicked 4 unanswered in that last quarter and solidified the victory as Tyson Thomas and John Shaw led the charge from the midfield. Now, as you can see with the footage, Lockie Dornorth did have a chance about 5 minutes to go in the fourth to bring it within a goal. As you can see, he's about 20 metres out, running to the wrong side for a right footer, throws on the check side and throws it through for a point, which would have taken it back into the midfield and given them a bit of a chance, but they did have their chances, Blacks, in that last quarter. They just could not penetrate that forward line. Dan Noonan was clunking absolutely everything that came his way. Nick Wynn chipped in. He was fantastic as well. But it was, as you mentioned at the top of the show, the other Brendan, it was Brendan Goss, who just absolutely starred for Old Zavarians. He absolutely loves Sports Cover Arena. I think it gives him a lot more room to lead than Toorak Park, which may stifle that lead a little bit. It's a little bit tighter with that forward setup, but he really gets out, and from beyond 45, his set shot is probably the best in the competition, I would have thought.
Yeah, he's a star, and it's great to see him playing well in September as well, Goss. So well done him. Zaz will pose a big threat to Uni Blues next week. And we say it often, Brendan, we look at the second semi-final loser, and you jump off them and all that sort of thing, but so often, we mentioned it last week, I think only once in the last 8 years or so that someone's come from the first semi-final through to a grand final.
And we can't discount what Blues have done this year. It's going to be a big task against Zavs on Sports Cover Arena. Yep, Hanley and Shaw, very well in the ruck against Stedman.
Yep.
Sorry, for Blacks. They're going to pose a big threat for Blues. If they get control of the midfield and allow Brendan Goss and Hanley and co to dominate, it's going to be a big ask for Blues.
That was a good mention by you too. Matt Hanley actually went into the ruck a lot in the second half to help Johnny Shaw out, and those two combined were absolutely fantastic, really giving each other a bit of a chop out, and they really controlled it from the middle.
Zaz have got big bodies, and we know, and I think what's overlooked is Trinity are quite solid over the ball as well, and often Blues were being bumped off the ball, or were second to the ball, which meant that the bigger body Trinity player was there and was able to work the ball to advantage for their team. So Zaz will model a lot of their game, I guess, on that hard contested ball in close.
They certainly will.
Tip for everyone?
I think Zavs. Yeah, I'm going to go with Zavs. I think their form really stacks up, and it's going to be tough for Blues. It wouldn't surprise me if Blues get up for sure, but I think Zavs.
I think Blues will obviously tighten the screws as to what they did in the second quarter against Trinity, but I think Zaz probably have that firepower.
Zaz beat Blues a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was only 3 weeks ago where that happened. Interestingly, they were wearing the red jumpers that day. They're at Sports Cover Arena. I'm not sure if they're going to be wearing the red jumpers in a final. I like the red jumpers of Old Zaz, but I'm sure that that'll all come out during the week as well. But I'm going to go for Zaz, I reckon, to get over the line here. And I've done what we say we shouldn't do and jumped on the team that's won through from the semi-final. And Blues, sorry about that, but you've been great this season. But going for Zaz, you've got to put your neck on the line. I know I've got a few people at Blues questioning my thoughts on them this year. I do like them, just got to tip someone. Right, we'll take a break on Tragics. We'll be back with more after this.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back. You're watching The Tragics. Plenty of news around the VAFA. Let's check in with Karma Stead with the headlines.
Thank you, Andrew. The Grilled Rising Star is getting closer to being announced as 6 talented youngsters have been shortlisted for the coveted award. Old Brighton pair Harry Hill and Tom Fisher are joined by Mitch Hughes of St Bernard's, Ormond's Luke Gogas, Jack Holden of St Kevin's and under-19 Big V captain Christian Carnival. The Rising Star Committee continue to argue their cases and will announce the winning player at the Woodrow Medal and Awards Night. Make sure you get on VAFA.com and cast your vote as to who you think will win the award. And the VAFA Grand Final lunch tickets are still available on Friday the 16th, so make sure you visit VAFA.com to book your seat for what is going to be an absolutely fantastic event.
And add a .au on the end of that web address there as well, because I'm not sure you'll find it at vafa.com.
The conscious is back.
Let's move on to Premier B. Second semi-final on Saturday. Brendan, it was amazing. Bo Morris and St Bees Mentone Tigers, the Sharks, had led the table for most of the year. the Tigers came in and got the points. But importantly, one of the biggest games of the year in terms of Premier B is the second semi-final because you get promotion back to Premier.
Yes, and we St Bees maintained Tigers in William Buck Premier in 2017 as they booked their Premier B Grand Final spot with a 27-point win over Beaumaris. Trailing by 10 points at half-time, the Tigers pulled ahead with 4-2 in the third before unleashing a 7-goal fourth quarter barrage at Trevor Barker Oval. Fresh off being named in the Prem B Team of the Year, Michael Barnes registered 3 goals and took his season tally to 42. It's Yurish Milan Yithayakuma also kicked 3 for the Tiger. That's an absolute mouthful. While Johnny Cahan and Simon Richards starred from the outset. Stephen Milne slotted 5 for Bowie, but was to no avail.
Yeah, interesting what to make of Bowie, given how much they've dominated sides throughout the season, and then had some strange losses at times, including a draw and then a loss to Fitzroy. Yeah. They just looked, for all intents and purposes, like a team on a mission that were going to, streak to this premiership. They've got to go the hard way now.
They certainly do, and Scotch is going to be no easy feat.
Yeah, and the other game, of course, Old Scotch and Monash Blues on the Sunday. Nick, this was an absolute thriller. Monash Blues coming from behind to take the lead late. Our man there, Liam Darcy, getting the job done again, kicking a goal. He did a great job. I love watching this sort of footage, and the celebrations are fantastic. We need more of it.
We do need more of it.
Yeah, that high five's pretty subpar though.
Yeah, the high five's not great. But he had a chance 30 seconds later to kick another goal. Managed it behind, but I mean, arguably it was an easier shot the next time around.
It was. He wouldn't exactly be stoked with that because he kicked 2, remember, last week in the final quarter, so that would have been his second. He would have done it, mirrored what he did last week. But Old Scotch took it up the other end. They kicked 2 goals. John O'Dagian played a big part of that. But I know you've got an opinion on this because was it his kick?
Well, no, not only that, look at the holding the ball decision. You see these tackles around the ground all the time, and I reckon that's really tough in a big final to pay a free kick directly in front of goals. Now, I'm not saying, Old Scotch, in the way the flow, they ran it for that last 5 minutes, but it's a big decision to make to pay that holding the ball. Yes. Technically it's there, so we acknowledge that, but plenty of other times you get guys caught with a ball and they don't pay that, and it's just play on, or it ends up being a ball up. Now, more importantly, why is John O'Dagian getting the kick when he's not even involved in the tackle?
Very strange, man. He walks off.
We've never put an arm on him.
Exactly right.
Should be Vandenbroek's kick. Now he's a classy forward, so who knows? But just interesting one to point out. Not sure why Dagian takes the kick.
Why does Vandenbroek give it up? He's already kicked 2 goals.
Yeah, he wants the limelight, surely.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
In all seriousness, congratulations to Old Scotch, a first finals win in over a decade, or about a decade, I think it is. Importantly, they go through to a preliminary final, and the second biggest game in VAFA football is the Premier B preliminary final for a spot back in William Buck Premier is next Saturday. Old Scotch and Beaumaris. Gee, it's a big game between these two sides who were both relegated last year.
Are Scotchy the form side at the moment too?
They are the form side. I may have written them off mid-year, but they've absolutely stormed home. They are the form side. John O'Dagian is electric, but it's going to be tough against Bowie. Stephen Milne kicking 5. If he snags 5 again and he gets a little bit of support, they're going to be tough to beat Bowie.
Interesting.
Both kicked the same score last week, 9-11 each.
Yep.
So it's not like we've got a heavy score or not, but yeah.
Well, does Schneider play? That's what I want to know.
Well, sources are saying
that he may have been
checking out that sports cover deck earlier.
Walking the boundary of Sports Cover Arena, was he?
Yeah.
Did you get any footage of that, Nick?
No footage of that.
Would have been good to show some footage on a TV show like the Tragics.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was paying attention to the staff meeting, but it's interesting. It is interesting to see that though, and because he obviously didn't play on the weekend. Milne stepped up, but if those two are
dynamite, they're dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah. Tip?
Beaumaris. I'll stick with Beaumaris. I have all throughout the year, so
I'll go Scotchies.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bowie, I think, to win that game and to get a rematch against St Bees Mentone Tigers. Into Premier C, Caulfield Grammarians and Mazenod was on the Saturday. Mazenod stormed back into Premier B after being relegated last year. 83-point winners over Caulfield Grammarians at Bill Laurie Oval. It was a smashing from the start.
It certainly is a massive result, and these two have been neck and neck throughout the year at Prem C, and Mazenod went bananas at Bill Laurie Oval.
They've been replacing each other at the top of the ladder throughout the season, but it was despite entering as a lower ranked side, the Nodders, they were just absolutely ridiculous from the outset. They took the half-time lead, 46 points, and it would have been a mean feat for Caulfield to get back into it if they were, but it wasn't to happen anyway, as another 10 goals to 3 in the final two terms blew the margin out, as Bradley Kovac, who's been fantastic this year, Reece Thomas, Thomas Sincotto, again, another star this year, combined for 9 goals, 3 each, and they were just far too good for the Fields, who will be looking to recoup before this weekend.
Yeah, they will, and a bit like in William Buck Premier, we sort of sit there and look at Peninsula, who won their first semi-final or elimination final against Old Ivanhoe, who will spend another year in Premier C. The Pirates, they probably go in as favourites against Caulfield Grammarians.
But this is the one where, instead of the previous 2 ones where we thought maybe the defeated side in the week 1 will maybe bow out and straight chase, I think the Fields will regroup, and I think it was just a little blip on the radar for them, and I can see them getting over the Pirates.
Well, the Pirates were fantastic against Old Ivanhoe, as we know. They've lost both games to Old Ivanhoe throughout the year, but they've changed the game plan up a little bit against the Hoes, who... Old Ivanhoe like to kick long to their big forwards and to their big bodies, whereas they're switching, and because they're going down the line hose, the Pirates switch and there's no one out on the other side, and they're just running in, giving their forwards perfect delivery all day.
So a tip, who's going to win the preliminary final in Premier C?
I think it'll be Caulfield.
I'm with Caulfield.
Yeah, I'll probably go with Caulfield as well, unfortunately for the Pirates. Still chasing their first ever premiership in the VAFA. Speaking of premierships, deciders all up for grabs in the divisions. Divisions 1 to 4 grand finals taking place this weekend. Brenton, let's start things off in Division 1. Old Mentonians and Old Geelong to be played at Coburg City Oval on Saturday after Old Geelong won through in the prelim.
This is the one where I really struggled to tip. Now, I've gone with Old Geelong. I know that people at Old Mentonians will think that's farcical and they beat Old Geelong in the second semi, sorry. But I feel that Old Geelong's form is superior to Old Mentonians. Their form stacks up in the last probably 6 weeks of the season. George Burberry kicked 5 on the weekend in their win over Pegs. He's enormous. He will be enormous in this game. And Coburg City Oval, 2 p.m. on Saturday. It's going to be an absolute ripper.
Pegs, we should say bad luck to them on a great season.
Yeah.
They'll have another year in Division 1 to try and work their way back up. But just quickly on these two sides, Old Mentonians haven't won a flag since 1990 at senior level. That's 26 years ago when they won in Premier C. Old Geelong, 2005 in Division 2, so 11 years ago. So a bit of a drought for both sides. This will be a flag that both will be keen to get.
They've played each other 3 times this year. It's Ogs 2-1, but more importantly, Panthers win came in the second semi, so they've got the most recent wood over them, as we say. And your tip?
Old Mentonians will win a first flag in 26 years.
I'm with Andrew, Old Mentonians.
I'll go with Ogs just for a point of difference. Division 2 sees St John's square off against Preston at Casey Fields, 2 p.m. on Saturday. Preston, importantly for them, the only side to beat St John's this year, and key players in skipper Glenn Costas, Rowan Scott and Corey Elo will be very pivotal for St John's as they square off against Damon Marcon, Dean Calcedo, and Jepson v Thornton could be the key defender versus the key forward matchup of the round. Of course, I'm going to tip St John's.
But would you be nervous though? Preston have beaten St John's throughout the year. Their only loss. Would you have preferred maybe West Brunswick go through?
No, I think that you take what's before you. Yes, Preston has beaten St John's this year, but it's been at their home deck as they beat them at their home deck last year. We're at Casey Fields, big ground, neutral venue. I think the wide expanses of Casey Fields will suit St John's and we'll get over the line.
Casey Fields on Saturday. St John's chasing a first flag since 2011. Preston, who were formerly the Northern Bull Ants, or Northern Blues, sorry, now Preston Bull Ants. 2014 when they won back-to-back flags coming up through Divisions 4 and 3.
Tips?
Preston Bull Ants, I think they're aggressive, young, and I like it.
Unfortunately, St John's.
It will go to Division 3. This is probably the grand final we all wanted to see. This is Hawthorn versus Glen Ira.
No, I'm glad it happened given the issues we had with the top 6. Or not the issues, my personal issues with the top 6 and the change up to it. And obviously we got it wrong. I got it wrong on the Tragics. But the change up, the 2 top seeded sides have won through.
Exactly right. And I believe it's Saints versus Hawks, one each this year. Key players for Hawthorn will be Sam Gold, Justin Reiti and Jason Ince, who's kicked 54 goals this year. For Glen Ira, it's be Julian Waras Carstensen, Lee Stevens and Matthew Cassidy. This is going to be an absolute belter at Coburg City Oval at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And I'm going to tip... Sunday. It does say Sunday there. I'm going to tip Glen Ira for their first ever win. First ever premiership.
As Glen Ira.
As Glen Ira,
Of course, there are, many clubs make up Glen Ira, and their last one from any of those clubs was St Kilda South Caulfield in 1994. For Hawthorn, only one senior premiership, 1998 in F section. So Of course, they've picked up a couple of clubbies premierships in recent years, and of course a reserves premiership as well. But they're chasing a first senior flag since 1998. Good luck to both clubs on Sunday.
Chips.
Hawthorn for me.
Hawthorn, I think, have the X factor and the star power.
That'll be the point of difference again, Glen. All right, now with Div 4, Westbourne Grammarians versus the neighbour Point Cook. Westbourne going for the perfect season, and key players are Nick Sciano, Adam Inimber, and of course Dale Collins, the goal-kicking monolith. And for Point Cook, Jordan Lampy, the Nutrients Direct player of the week, kicked 7 in the prelim final, and he's going to be pivotal in the absence of Will Dawson, but I can't see them getting over Westbourne.
Nor can I.
No.
Yeah, Westbourne Grammarians going for it to become a championship side as well. 12 years since they won a flag. Of course, that was when they were old Westbourne back in 2004 in Division 4, so chasing their second Division 4 pennant. Westbourne Grammarians. Point Cook joined the VAFA in 2010, yet to taste senior success, and this is their first ever grand final appearance at senior level.
St Bernard's College, 2 p.m. on Saturday.
I think Westbourne Grammarians
Yep.
in that one. On to the 4 questions, and Nick, I think you've got the new ball tonight to get things going in the 4 questions.
I do. I'm going straight to you, Andrew. And should Beau Morris win through against Old Scotch in this weekend's preliminary final, where should the Premier B grand final be played?
I think it should be at Sports Cover Arena, the home of the VAFA. Now, I can understand the argument to say that it should be at Trevor Barker over with Beau Morris and St Bede's down there. But let's be honest, guys, it's 5 kilometres further up the road. It's not that far. The Sports Cover Arena can hold more people. It's got a better financial result for the VAFA, which clubs might say, well, of course the VAFA would say that, but that is really important. It means affiliation fees, etc., don't grow, etc. So that finals revenue that the VAFA generates is really important, and Sports Cover Arena is where it should be. With the renovations coming, it's going to be a great facility, and we've got to keep playing the biggest games there.
And to you, Nick, can Blues stop the barnstorming Brendan Goss?
I think most teams would struggle to stop Brendan Goss at the moment, but of course they can. As we mentioned earlier, they are minnows when it comes to scoring on them. They're 57 points against. Will Cunningham is the man if anyone's going to be the man. I'm not sure if he's locked down, but I know he's been starring this year. And so if he goes to Brendan Goss, I think that'll be one of the best defenders on one of the best forwards in the competition.
Brenton, 4 premierships up for grabs this weekend. Which one will mean the most to which club?
I think given their struggles probably over the last 4 to 5 years, I think Glen Ira, if they had to get up and win their first ever premiership in the VAFA as Glen Ira, I think that means the most to them, but of course premierships mean a great deal to a lot of people. And to you, Andrew. Now, Andrew, are you getting your medical degree anytime soon?
Oh, what? No. Why would you say that?
Well, you put a pen through John Shaw until possibly the grand final if the Zavs make it.
Right, yep.
He has single-handedly carried his side across the line in an epic second half encounter over
Look,
over
let's
Blacks.
be honest. I did. My understanding was that John Shaw had done his hamstring, and he's obviously had back-related hamstring issues, and he's had that worked on all through the week, and he got up and played a great game. So obviously, I've got no idea when it comes to medical advice. On that note, enjoy the grand finals this weekend, gents.
Cheers,
enjoy the preliminary finals. Good luck to all teams, and we'll see you again next week as we preview the Premier Section grand finals on the Tragics.